What's up, everybody? Back at you with another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where you already know we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. We do got an interview today. We got a special guest on. This brother's in Mexico. He's been through some stuff, grew up in Chicago, was born in Mexico, grew up in Chicago, ended up in Allenwood where he ends up getting stabbed by the Latin Kings. But you know what? We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. I'm going to let this brother introduce himself. Jose, tell the people who you are, where you're from, and the mic's yours.
How you doing? I'm glad. Thanks a lot for having me on your show, Chef. Yeah, my name is Jose. I was born in Mexico. I went to live in Chicago. My mom took me and my three brothers to live in Chicago when I was like 5 years old. And ever since then, I grew up there, went to school there. When I was a little bit older, got into the gangs, started going to jail.
Let me ask you this. What was it like for a young kid, man? You're coming from Mexico. You come to Chicago. Do you speak English at the time or just Spanish?
Nah, we didn't know nothing about English or nothing. We had to learn it, The good thing about it is we learned it quick, because the school we were going to is mostly Mexicans. And they already knew English and all that. So it was easy for us to learn it more and going to school learning it there too.
So kind of like, man, you're growing up in Chicago, man. Are there other dudes pressing you like, hey, man, you got to get down or whatever?
No, not really, because when I got there, well, I was always the black sheep of the family. I was always getting in trouble since I could remember over here in Mexico when I was a kid. And then when I got over there to Chicago, I was fascinated. I ain't gonna lie, I was fascinated by the gangs and all that. I see them and all that. And I got more, I started getting more into it, And I didn't really join the gang until I was 12 years old when I moved to south side of Chicago, little village. That's where I turned 2'6".
2'6", that's kind of part of the Latin folks?
Yeah, we Latin folks. Back in the days, we were all united and all that. But right now, it's like everybody for themselves,
Everybody for themselves. Let me ask you something, though. When you're 12 years old and you join a gang, you're looking up to these gang dudes, you're like, these are the people that you're idolizing. But you're looking up to these dudes, you join a gang. How do you get initiated into this gang back then?
I got jumped in by 15 guys older than me.
Why do they jump people into a gang? Is it to show that you're tough, that you can fight, that you're not soft, that you go hard? Why do they do that stuff?
Yeah, they do that to see if you could handle an ass whooping, because you're gonna have to. Because if you're in a gang, you're gonna get caught up by your apps. If you're in a different neighborhood and all that, they ain't gonna have no mercy on you. They're gonna beat you, do whatever they can. It's happened to me a lot of times.
When I was 12 years old, I couldn't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
When I was 12 years old, I couldn't imagine getting hit by 10, 15 people talking about, go ahead and beat me up so I can get involved in a gang. What's going through your mind at that age? Are you thinking yeah, man, this shit's cool?
Yeah, for me, yeah, because I live right across the street from the grammar school where I went to, and all my friends that were in the gang and all that went to right there, and they used to hang after school. They'll hang around in front of the school and the playground and all that. And that's what made me join, because I used to see the older guys, They used to be right there and partying with the girls and all that. I'm like, damn, man. So I'm like, fuck it. I was already hanging around with them in school and all that, after school and all that, doing stuff with them and all that. So I'm like, what else do I need? So I decided to join in.
I know you've been through some stuff in life. You were in prison in Mexico, and the videos you sent me about the riots that you were involved in. You get stabbed in Allenwood. Let's talk a little bit about how you end up in prison, man. How do you end up in prison?
Well, the first time I got locked up, first time I went to prison was in '95. I got locked up for 2 drug charges and possession of a stolen motor vehicle. I was like 22 years old, 23. And the thing about me, when I always get locked up for a case, I don't like going to trial or nothing. I tell my lawyer, you know what, go tell him and tell him what the lawyers they'll give me right now without going to trial. And they always used to come with 3 years, 3 years, 3 years, and I used to take it because I know I would have got the 2 drug cases and the stolen car. I would have got more time.
I want to talk a little bit about, how you go to prison, but I want to know about your parents. Your father comes over here. He brings his family here. Is your father working a job? What's your mother doing? Tell us a little bit about your family life.
Yeah, some people will tell you they joined the gang because they didn't have family and all that, but that's really not true because my parents were always there. So they would work. My dad would work 2 jobs, still come home, take us to the park. He made a soccer team for us, for me, my brothers, and for our little friends, to stay out the streets and all that. And that's what we used to do before I joined the gang. We used to play sports and all that. That's all we in the schools that they show you how to play all the sports. So that's what we did, you know. But
So,
my dad and my mom they never left me alone, Even though I was the black sheep of the house, they always was there for me. Even when I was locked up, they will go when I was locked up in Illinois. They will always go every week, every Sunday. They won't miss. They'll go visit me. It don't matter if they had to drive 8 hours. When I was in Allenwood, they drove from Chicago all the way to Allenwood to just go see me.
so your parents were hardworking people, good people. They wanted the best for you, but you turned to the streets. When you get jumped in, right, are you beat up a little bit?
Yeah, yeah, because you they won't let you run. You gotta walk through the line. It's like in one line there's like 7 people, and the other line is like 8 or like that, and you gotta walk in the middle. You can't run or else they're gonna make you do it again. You gotta walk, take the ass whoopings and all that.
So you go home, you're beat up, you're 12 years old. Does your father look at your face?
I don't really remember, but I would always come home with bruises and all that because I used to love fighting, you know. And I used to because the school that was in front of us where I used to go, it was mixed. It was blacks, whites, and Mexicans. And I used to love fighting. So it was used. It was for him. It was used. You got into another fight, huh? And like that.
So you end up going to Allenwood, USP Allenwood, one of the nicer federal prisons as far as maximum security, but there is violence. People do get killed there. What do you go to prison for? What do you go to federal prison for?
I went to federal prison for re-entry to the United States. And this is the messed up about it because a day before that, I got deported. I got out of jail. A day before that, I got deported. They deported me to Juarez, El Paso. And then from there, I stood the night. The next day, I took a bus to Matamoros, Brownsville, Texas, tried to cross over, and I got caught.
One day you're caught that fast.
Like that. I had to put not even a day because I got out there. They put me at 5 in the afternoon. And I was already the next day by 12 in the morning, I was already locked up again.
Well, let me ask you this then. So you get locked up again. How much time do you get in the feds for re-entry?
They gave me 27 months just for that.
So 27 months and you go to Allenwood, right?
Yeah, I did a year. I did a year in Texas, going to court and all that. Different counties in Texas and all that, in county jails and all that.
So now let me ask.
When I finally got my sentence, they gave me 27 months. I already had a year in, and after that, I went to Oklahoma, and that's when I found out they were going to send me to Allenwood. And I told them, "Why am I going to Allenwood? I only got a year left." And they told me it was because of the case I got locked up before with a gun, for my points.
So with that little bit of time, the Federal Bureau of Prisons is sending you to a maximum security prison?
Yes. They told me because of that gun I got locked up the day before when I got deported the last time. I got locked up for aggravated discharge of a weapon. They gave me 3 years for that. Did my time. Immigration picked me up. They deported me. And then the next day, I was already locked up.
So now you get to Allenwood. You don't have much time left, but you end up getting stabbed over there. Tell the people why. Tell the people what happened.
Well, when I got there, the first day I got there, they told me who you run with. I told them I'm blind folks because they thought I was a paisa. Like, no, I ain't no, because they can't, paisas can't walk right there. I told them, no, I ain't no paisa, man. I'm from Chicago. They told me, oh, okay, just when you get out there, just tell them that there's a couple of you guys out there. I'm like, all right, cool. So I walked, went to my dorm. I went put my clothes in. They put me in with my cellmate was Barrio Azteca. I don't know if you know their gang, Barrio Azteca. And that was like a 4 o'clock count. So when they let us out for chow, the same 19 that stabbed me is the first one that came up to me and told me, what you is? And I told him, I'm fucking like folks. He told me, okay, it's cool, man. There's one of your guys right here with us. And I talked to that guy and all that. And then I didn't know I had a walk. I'm new there. I didn't know nothing. I never been locked up in the feds and all that. I just heard of and all that. So I walked out going to chow. And then all I seen was like 8 Norteños coming at me, knives in their hands. I'm like, damn. They told me, what you is, man? You're a paisa? I go, nah, man, I'm folks, man. I'm from Chicago. And then I showed them my tattoos, and they told me, you right with the GDs, the blacks? I go, yeah, we do in Chicago. And then that's when the Latin folks came out, and they asked him, he's one of you guys? He told me, yeah, he's one of my guys. What was the problem? And they go, no, man, we just want to know. Man, that really scared me. I ain't gonna lie. See, all them guys coming at me, and I didn't know nothing.
So the Norteños press you. They got knives right away. Like, yo, what's up, bro? Where you from?
Yeah. As soon as the doors opened to go to chow, boom! I walked out. They're right there. I'm like, damn. No. But after that, they were really cool with me. After all that, they would always tell me what's up. And there was this one main, I think he was an NF. His name was Happy. He always used to tell me, what's up, man? You need anything, man, let me know and all that. I'm like, cool, man.
So let me ask you this. You've been a part of this gang all this time. Now you're in the feds. There's a lot of Hispanic gangs, Mexicans. I mean, Norteños are over there. Are the Mexicans like, damn, bro, you run with those dudes? I mean, was there a little dissension where the Mexicans wanted you?
No. They never told me nothing about that. Mostly and especially the Norteños and all that. And right there was some M's, Mexican, but I don't think that they were from California. I think they were from Texas. Because I didn't see no Sureños there either.
Let's talk a little bit about why you get stabbed. How long are you there before they stab you?
I was there 5 months only before I got stabbed.
What did they stab you for?
They at the beginning when it happened, we didn't know nothing about it because it was the one that had it for us, that had the keys for us. It was his birthday, so we were gonna go buy some wine to another dorm. So I was walking with him, the other guy, the one that started all this, but he didn't say nothing. He walked in to get the wine, and we were outside, and the other guy was in the basketball court. And then all we seen was the Kings coming. They were playing it cool because all they said, what's up, man? They asked for the other guy. We told him, oh, he's inside, man. He'll be out right now. And that's when they all rushed us. Like 3 of them went inside the door for the other guy, and the rest of them jumped me and the other guy. At first I thought I was just getting punched. Bam, I was getting punched because they had pulled my sweater over my head. And then when in the hole where my head goes in the sweater, I got to see the knife the guy was holding in his hand. All I seen was a big ass knife. I'm like, damn, these guys ain't punching me. That's when I started fighting. I started fighting. Got away from them, took my sweater off, and I just was waiting for them to come at me. And then I turned around and there was this guy in back of me. It was 19, but he was walking like he didn't know what's going on. And I just went at him. punched him in his face, knocked his ass out. That's when the officers, cops came and all that.
Don't be capping on us. You knocked him out?
I didn't knock him out, but he fell on the floor.
Let me ask you this, because people still don't understand. They don't know. You said the other guy did something. What did the other guy do to cause them to come attack you guys?
He sat on the other table. He wasn't supposed to. He sat on their table, on the Latin Kings table.
But you guys kick it with the Latin Kings too, right?
Huh?
I said you guys were cool with the Latin Kings, right?
No, we're enemies. We're enemies of the Lion Kings, Especially me in Chicago, my gang, we're mortal enemies,
But I mean, in prison, you guys didn't stick together in prison though? Midwest?
No, not in prison, in the streets, nothing. They're people, we're folks.
Okay, so why the dude sit at their table, man?
Cause I don't, to tell you the truth, I don't even know. He just sat there. He was talking to somebody. They told him, "Hey, you can't sit here." He told him some bad words, suck my, what, and all this. And at that point, they didn't do nothing. They left it, so that's why we didn't know nothing about that. We didn't know nothing. They left it. A couple weeks passed, and then that's when they hit us.
How many times?
And the guy that started all this, he didn't tell us nothing. We found out when we were already in the shoot. I got airlifted out Allenwood in the helicopter.
That's what I was going to ask you. How many times did they stab you?
I got stabbed 11 times.
Did you feel like you were going to lose your life right there?
At first, no, because all I had was rush. I had I'm like, damn, man, what's going on? I'm like doing whatever I had to do, And I didn't even let them put me in the gurney to take me to the medical office. I walked all the way to the medical office, and right there they put me on the floor, handcuffed, my hands behind the back. I got stabbed in my head. I got stabbed in my back, in my stomach, in my shoulder. And I was bleeding because all I remember was, the next time I remember was, thing I remember was when I was in the helicopter.
None of the GDs, none of the black Midwest gangs came to help you guys?
Nah, they didn't do nothing, man. The GDs didn't do nothing. They're folks just like us. They didn't do nothing, but I already know why they didn't jump in, why they didn't do nothing, because the GDs had a problem with some whites. They had a fight and all that. We went on lockdown for that for a couple of days and all that. And but we didn't help them out. When they got out again, they went at it again. The whites jumped on the GDs.
Damn.
When we got out of lockdown, but we didn't help them because the guy that had it for us told us not to jump in, not to do nothing.
So they mercy flight you to the hospital. You end up getting out of the hospital. Where do you go then? Back to the hole?
Yeah, I stood in the hospital like for 4 days. I went to the shoe. At first I was in the cell by myself, and then after that they put me with the other two guys. They got jumped with me because the other guy that went with me in the hospital in the helicopter, he got stabbed more times, and he was more serious, so he was there more time. So they put me and two other of my guys that got stabbed, that got beat up, in the same cell, and that's when we found out about all that, what happened and all that.
Did you end up going home from the shoe?
Yeah, they told me, we're not you're gonna stay in the shoe because you only had 7 months. I only had 7 months to get home, to get out. So they told me, so it don't matter. It's gonna take like 6 or more to try and transfer you. So we're gonna leave you there. I'm like, whatever.
When you call your mother and your father, you tell them, "Hey, man, I got stabbed." What do they say?
They didn't even know. Nobody called them. The prison didn't call them or nothing. They knew because I called them. I called them like 2 weeks later. They let me use the phone. They didn't even know. I told, hey, I told my wife at that time. I told, hey, I got stabbed. When we call it the hole. I'm in the hole. She just started screaming. I go, what you mean you got stabbed? And I'm like, no, man, I got stabbed. Don't worry, I'm good. I'm all right. I'm just, you know, I was kind of mad because they didn't even notify them enough.
Let me ask you this, because I'm sure some people might, this is a different type of question, because I've been stabbed before too. In the heat of the moment, you don't really feel nothing. But after you're stabbed and you're in the hospital, what does it feel like, man? Are you depressed? Does it hurt? Are you like, oh my God, I might die? What's going through your mind?
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, because they had to put me in had to put a neck brace in my neck because I got stabbed an inch away from my spine. And they were I couldn't really move a lot because I was handcuffed and all that. I still had when I woke up in the hospital bed, I still had blood in my face and all that, in my body and all that.
Did it ever go through your mind when you're sitting there like, wow, man, all this for my gang? You probably don't know at the moment why they did it, but eventually you find out your homeboy kind of disrespected them, right? And that's a hell of a thing for everybody to get massacred over. But you ever second guess being in a gang?
To tell you the truth, at that time, no, because to tell you, I was really into my gang until I got to the feds. Before that, in the 90s, more, I was into my gang. I ain't gonna lie, I was more, I would love gang banging. I loved it.
When you say you loved gang banging, right? And I asked you if if you regret that. You got a son, right? A young son.
Yeah. Well, I got a son. I got two sons. One, he's 26, 27, and one that lives right here in Mexico with me. He's 3 years old.
He's 3 years old. You would never want anything to happen to him. You wouldn't want him to be involved in a gang, would you?
No, because I don't want him to go through the stuff, that I've been through and other people go through in that.
How would you feel if someone called you and said, "Hey, your son just got life flighted. He was stabbed for his gang 11 times." How would you feel in your heart?
I would be really, I'll be mad. I'll be really mad at the people that did that. But I'll be really, really upset that I let it come to that. I let him get to that point that he was in that position for that happened to him.
As a father, do you feel like it's your job to protect your son at all times?
Yes, I do. My dad, he was always there for me. He was always there for me. He was strict. By the time the lights were on the streets on, we had to be home. But I loved it. I loved the gang stuff and all that at that time. I used to do all my stuff in the day, or if my dad wasn't home, or like that. But I always respected my dad. I never raised my voice. I never raised my hand to my parents. I always had respect to them.
Let's talk a little bit about this, right? You get deported, right? You're in Mexico. You end up going to prison in Mexico, right?
Yeah. I was here only like for 2.5 years, and then I went to prison here.
What did you go to prison in Mexico for?
Well, at that time, I had just met these guys right here from right here. They live right here, and they were drinking the same day. I can remember this day like it was yesterday because it was the World Cup of Mexico soccer. I was at home drinking, watching the game. And then my beer finished, so I went in my car, went to go buy some beer. I bumped into those guys. They were drinking, so I stood there for a while drinking and all that. The thing I didn't know with what they did earlier in that day, a couple blocks away, they tried to rob somebody. They tried to rob somebody for some stuff, And they went back to their house. They were right there partying. And later on, when the game finished, it had to be like 5, 6 in the afternoon or more later. I bumped into them. So I'm right there drinking and all that. The beer finished. We went to go buy more beer. We went to this girl's house. We were right there partying and all that. The beer finished. We left to go buy some more beer. While the guy was inside the beer, buying the beer, the cops came. because they saw somebody seen the guy going inside by the beer, and he's the same guy that with the other guys that tried to rob the other people earlier that day. So they took us all into the police station, and I was telling them people, man, what's going on? Why you got us in here for? Now you're going for robbery and all this. I'm like, what? And they told me, yeah, try to rob this person and all that. So then when the cop left, I told the guys, hey, what's going on? They told me, no, it's because we tried to rob the people earlier in the day before you came. And I told them, hey, you got to tell them that I didn't have nothing to do with that. I just came, picked these up a while ago. The thing about it, they didn't even say nothing, They didn't want to say nothing.
How much time did you get in prison in Mexico?
Huh?
How much time were you sentenced to in Mexico?
A year and a half.
What was that prison system like compared to being in the feds or being in prison in Illinois?
I'd rather be in the prison in the feds and more in Illinois than right here in Mexico. Because right here, you don't go to the county jail or nothing. You go straight to the prison.
What was it like there? Was it dangerous? Was it violent?
Oh, yeah, it was violent. When I barely got there, I got there like 2 a.m. As soon as we got in there, the buildings looked like abandoned warehouses with broken windows and all that. That's how the dorms look.
Do they give you a mattress when you get there?
They told us, I'm sorry about that. So we went in there. They told us to sleep wherever you want because it was crowded. It's a 2-man cell. There's like 6, 7 people in there. And outside in the halls, they got them sleeping right there, too, in the people and all that. That place is terrible, I didn't really last. In that dorm, I didn't last long. I had to pay to move to a bigger dorm and a better, cleaner dorm, Everything in this about money.
Did you get a mattress?
And when the first thing that happened in the morning, I went in bed, tried to take my gym shoes away. Cause I had some Air Force Ones, brand new white ones, They told me, hey, I'll trade you gym shoes. I go, nah, I ain't trading nothing. And, there was 2 guys. One guy was behind the bars. He told me, hey, man, just take out the knife. Before the guy took out the knife, I let it go off on him, knocked him out. The thing about it right there, when you barely get there, in the morning, the first thing they do, the cartel, the main guys that are right there, they come get you, So that's the only thing that really saved me from getting stabbed from those dudes. Because they came and got me and the other guys that they got there the night before. Because they want to go and they already know what you're there for, but they want to ask you,
Let me ask you a question that I've been trying to ask you.
They asked us,
Maybe not.
I told them, hey, I'm here because they say I robbed somebody, They asked the other guy. They asked this dude that he was in there for trying to raping somebody. But he lied about it. And they told him, man, why you lying? We already know about it. They showed him the newspaper clip. And so they took him aside. The thing that I was in there that saved me that I didn't really get jumped or picked on or nothing is I already knew one of the cartel members. He was a neighbor of mine, but I didn't know he was into that. Because I hadn't seen him for like a year, and he was already locked up. And I didn't know he was into that, but he told me, hey, come here. He was talking to me, just keep it cool, just tell him you know me and all that. And it was like that, After that, I didn't have no problems with nobody. I would never eat from there. Because right there, the cartel, they will have parties in the weekends. They'll have girls come in. They'll have rooster fights. They'll have bands come in to play music. They'll have everything right there, like if they're in the street, And sometimes I will be able to go, That's the only thing that saved me in there mostly because they knew I used to hang with them in there all the time.
Okay, I'm going to stop you for a minute. I want to ask you something. When you first get to the prison, did you get a mattress?
Nah.
So what, are you sleeping on the floor?
Yeah, I was sleeping in the floor. I really didn't sleep because I got there in Tuesday morning. No, Wednesday morning I was there. And Thursday was visiting, and they were gonna. One of my aunts, she's like a mother to me. She used to go visit me over there all the time. She took me money, and that's when I was able to pay to get a better cell, a bigger cell, and that.
What's the food like for people that don't have money?
If they don't have money, they gotta eat what the prison gives you, and that food there is no good. I look at it, but man, but people that ain't got no money, they have to eat it. They gotta work there to save money to send to their families or for them and all that.
Let me ask you this. Are you done with the gang life now or no?
Yeah, I've been done with it when I got out of the feds. You know, I'm like, well, yeah, I was when I was in the feds or in prison in Illinois. I was in the gangbanging. But after what that happened to me in the federal and all that, I stopped gangbanging. Well, I stopped, acting like that.
So now you're in Mexico, man. What's your life like in Mexico? Do you got a job?
Now, right now, I can't work because of my disability. I'm blind for my right eye, and I have problems for my left eye. You know.
Is that a result from the stabbing or no?
No, I got glaucoma.
Okay. So what do you do over there to take care of yourself, man, if you can't work?
Well, I have my family helps me out. My mom and dad, my brothers, and I get a little help from the government over here.
The government helps you over there?
The government,
What do they do for
they
you?
give me a little money every like 2 months.
All right. So listen, man. You've been through some stuff, like I said, dude. The Latin King stabbed you. You kind of got out of the gang life after that. You're over there. You got your son. I know you take him to his little preschool and all of that. What's the most important thing in your life, man?
Family, my kids. You know, the thing I regret about it, being in the gang and all that, being gang bang and all that, is not being there for my kids that I got in Chicago. They it's not they I grew up they grew up without their dad because I was mostly locked up or gang banging. But I will always work. I will gang bang after work, when the
Jeez.
weekends. But I will work, take care of my kids, make sure they had everything but my time.
Well, listen, man, before we go, right, I'm going to let you say whatever you want to say. I know you told me something about, the riots in Mexico, and you might want to talk a little bit about that. We didn't get there, but if you want to talk a little bit about that before we go, that's up to you.
Yeah, it's no problem. I'll talk to you about it. When I got there in prison in Mexico, the first riot, um, the cartels told the gangbangers to start a riot so they could that could be cover up because some other cartel members from another cartel got locked up there. It was like four of them. That was gonna be the excuse to go and kill them.
Damn. Did they end? Did
That was
they?
the first
Did they end up
riot
doing
that
that?
happened. And
Did they end up?
I seen when they carried, huh?
Did they end up killing them or no?
Yeah, I seen them carrying them out without heads.
Damn.
They are because they don't play right there. I seen when they were carrying them out because they had them in the hole. There was four of them from the other cartel, you know, and the riot started and all. That's when they had a hitman coming from the outside. kill them, and take them.
Wow. Unbelievable. So anyway, look, man, before we go, man, is there anything you want to say? You got a message that you can give to the youngsters that are getting involved in that gang life? And, what would you tell them?
Yeah, it's not what you seem it is. Because look at me, the only people that are gonna be there for you is your family. At the end, that's the only ones that are gonna be there for you. Because I got a lot of friends that got deported too. They're without their friends. Without my friends, my family. I haven't seen my brothers for more than 20 years. But, it's not worth it being away from your family, all that gangbang and all that. You see the gangbangers with money and all that. You working, you could get the same stuff.
Let me say this, right? You got involved in gangbanging and crime, and eventually it leads to you getting deported to Mexico. And then you come back, and you go to federal prison for re-entry. You get out, you go back to your country, and now all your family's over there, and it's hard to see your brothers or see your family, right?
Yeah, I have my kids I got over there. I haven't seen them 16 years.
Wow. Man, it's crazy, man. It's a crazy life. Listen, man, I'm going to close the show, man, but I appreciate you coming on, and, I wish you the best, and I hope things work out for you over there in Mexico. Definitely appreciate you. I'm going to tell people if they like the interview, hit that like button, hit that share button, Blood on the Razor Wire TV. Until tomorrow, with respect, we're out.